Okay, welcome back everyone. In this video I'm just going to remind you how to put uncertainty bars on an Excel graph, and it depends on which version of Excel you have. The Mac version, it's a little bit different from PC, so I'm just showing you on PC, and I'll try to mention a way to do it for Excel on Mac as well. So there's a couple ways to do this, but first you need to have calculated all of your errors and pressure. And so I'm going to assume that you know how to do this. If not, you want to go back and look at the lab analysis video. I think that might be video 82. Okay, so let's pretend like we know the error in pressure is 11%. So that means that the amount of error that we have is a percentage times the actual value. Okay, and so of course that one's 0, but if I move my cursor so it's a plus sign and come all the way down to here, alright, and that's about 11% of each of these values. Okay, and I have it in scientific notation, but you don't have to. Okay, so now we come to actually putting this onto the graph, and there's a couple ways to do this. First, you want to make sure that you've clicked on the graph area so that only the graph itself is being highlighted. Okay, don't click on the data point or the trend line or even the plot area. Just click on just the graph. And go up here to Layout, and you're going to see some things pop up. Over here, there are lots of things that you can change. The chart title, the axis titles, looks like we can change the Y error bars, but we want to do the X error bars for pressure. Okay, so if I just scroll this down a little bit, you can see I have pressure on the X-axis. Okay, so, and every time you click onto your graph, you have to go back up here and click on Layout to get it back up there. So if you want to do error bars and they're not showing up over here, what you have to do, and this is kind of weird, is click on this button to add error bars to the chart and go to More Options. And right now it's asking you about vertical error bars. So this is the 1 over volume graph, and as I've said, we don't need to do those error bars because it's kind of complicated. But let's say you wanted to do error bars that were a fixed percentage. Okay, so let's say it was maybe 2%. Okay, then what you would get are error bars that are about 2% of the value. Notice how they get larger. Okay, so percentages means that the actual number will get bigger as the value gets larger, but the percentage is the same. Okay, let's say we didn't want to do that. I'm going to hit my undo button, which is right up here. You may not be able to see it. It's off your view. And I'll do that again to completely remove those error bars, okay? And let's go to Layout and Error Bars, and instead of a percentage, let's say that I want to do a custom value, but I don't want to do vertical error bars, I want to do horizontal. So I'm going to close this, and this is where Excel is weird, because if you close this, Excel will know that you still want to deal with error bars. Whoops. We go to Layout again, and now we have X error bars. Sorry if that's a little bit cut off for you. Hopefully you can see it. So that's X error bars will show up. And now what you have to do is right click on a point and format error bars. And now you can see that they're going left and right. So we're actually going to do a custom amount here. I'm going to click on Custom, and we're going to specify a value, and we're going to do a positive error value, and this little button right here allows us to pick values from the spreadsheet. So we're going to do that, and we're going to click and drag down. This is a left click, by the way, and this tells us look in sheet 1 and take cells F2 through F11. So you could type it if you knew how. I just select it with the mouse. Okay, and the negative error values, I'm going to do the same thing. And I'll do OK. And I'll hit close. And then I will just click on there. And let me move this down so you can see it. And there they are. Okay, so notice that these error bars work out just fine. Okay, now you might notice that, well, the pressure errors are all going to be the same, right? So what you could do in format error bars is, instead of custom, you could put in a percentage, and I used 11%. So that will get you a slightly different view, but it'll basically do the same thing. I think that I would prefer if you did the specify value version, where you actually could pick it off of your data table. Okay, and lastly, let's talk about how to do error bars just for your initial graph of pressure versus volume. Okay, so I'm going to make a new graph of volume and hold control. Oh, hold on a second. I have to put my X values first, and then hit control and select my Y values. And those are in milliliters, but I'm just showing you how to put in your error bars. And put them in backwards. So if this happens to you, what you can do is you can select data, and you can go to edit, and for the X values, again, you can go to your spreadsheet and pick what you want. And then for the Y values, you go to your spreadsheet and pick what you want. And now you have, we'll hit OK. Now we have what we want. Okay, so let's say we want to put error bars of 0.1. Okay, we're again going to go to layout, and let's see if we can do Y error bars. See, it doesn't show up. So in order to get it to show up, we have to click on this error bars thing. Okay, and we're going to go to our options, and I don't know why, but it just puts in the fixed value of 1 to start with. Let's say we're plus or minus 0.1 for volume. So I just do that and hit close, and there they are. And so it's actually okay if you can't really see your error bars for volume. They're going to be really small, and if it's 5 milliliters from one line to the next, and we're plotting 0.1, we're talking about, I think, 1/50th of this distance. It's going to be really hard to see. One thing you could do is format the data series and go to marker options, click on built-in, and make the marker a little bit smaller, and then you can finally see the error bars, but they're really tiny. Okay, and then of course for pressure on this one, for that first graph, we would want to again go to layout, and we can go to X error bars, and I think I'm going to need to move my chart out of the way. And for the X error bars, oh, sorry, go to layout, make sure I select X error bars, and then I right click to format them. And again, what I'm going to do is a custom value. So your two graphs, you do basically the same thing for your error in pressure. Exact same thing. And so there they are. Okay, so that concludes a short tutorial on how to put uncertainties into Excel. And just as a reminder, if you're using a Mac version, I think your best bet is to try to put in a percentage. You can either specify a value for volume, or you can do a percentage for pressure. Okay, well, I hope this was of some help, and I'll catch you next time.